sometimes. That's the other thing. I mean, because this play lets out a lot of things that we would keep hidden in polite society, as it were, right?
So, Tehani, you bring out the character of Annette Raleigh, that is one of the wives.
Yes.
Tell us how is it now? I mean, you're a young girl, I mean, you don't know the role of a wife, but now how is it? How challenging is it? And how interesting do you find to portray these issues, in fact?
That has actually been personally a challenge for me because I'm 21, so having to play a much older character who is not only a wife but also a mother, because the play brings out, really critically analyzes marriage as well as parenthood, and so it's been interesting getting an insight into that kind of thing. But also I think a lot of it is partly observation. I mean, we see those very things in society, so even though I haven't reached that stage in my life as yet, you know, those are things that you do observe. The fact that lots of parents try to in some ways defending their child's honor, they're really defending their own proficiency as a good parent,
right?
And you know, not wanting to place blame on your own offspring, but wanting to place blame on others. And the little pitfalls and cracks in all these relationships that you generally do observe in society is what we bring out in the play. And like Hetty said, it's quite liberating in a way to be able to express things that you would normally suppress due to social pressures. And so I think for in an audience point of view as well, I think it would be quite liberating for them.
I see. Now,
to see that.
Hetty, tell me a little bit about other three cast members of the play.
Yeah, correct. Okay, we, other than Tehani here, who plays Annette, we have Shanaka Amarasinghe, who plays Annette's husband, Alan, rather. Elaine is the French name, obviously, I'm sorry. Alan, and then we have Ashini Fernando, who plays Veronica, and her husband is played by Chamat Arambavela, and the character name is Michael.
I see.
So Michael and Veronica Novak, and Annette and Elaine Raleigh.
So Tehani, how fun is it? I mean, 4 characters, I'm sure you all know each other pretty well by now.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens on stage? Is it as serious as the play is, or is it, you know, real fun outside and coming into sudden seriousness? So how does it work?
Yeah, it's definitely been really fun. Actually, we've been rehearsing for about 2 months now.
Yeah, 2+.
Yeah, 2+, and it's been great fun. And no, it's not always serious at all. It's a really crazy bunch of people. Yeah, Shanaka, Ashini, Chamat, they're all just absolutely crazy, and it's just really fun to work with them. You'll have moments in the play where we're just doing a gabble and everybody's just kind of starts doing their own little thing. Shanaka likes to be acrobatic and starts doing all sorts of weird acrobatic moves while, say, delivering his lines. Lots of little jokes. Lots of making fun of me. Yeah, lots of, so they love to do that, to make fun of me, because I don't get things a lot, so then they've given me the nickname Obli.
I see.
Short for oblivious.
Oblivious. So,
yeah, little things like that.
So Hetty, now I understand there must be a directorial challenge with something like this. It's an interesting play. The character, 4 people, simple set. How is it for you?
Yeah, I think it's all about focusing on the energies that the characters bring into that, because this kind of thing will not work with gimmickry, although there is this one gimmick which we have to come, because that is an integral part of the, or rather part of the play that has been often talked about, but what we are focusing on mainly is the energies and the ability to channel those energies that these actors have, and that is why you need really good actors. And I think I've been blessed and I found a really great bunch of actors who have the innate ability to relate to each other as well as relate to the script. I mean, you could see them, like, you know, they taking down notes and raising the questions, why am I saying this, where am I going with this, you know, things like that. And you know, Chamat, for instance, will take the line 5 times over in his own head in the middle of a gabble while the others are waiting around, and these guys will just wait for him to finish it, because until he gets it right, he doesn't move on. So that kind of thing, so that kind of passion that they bring into that makes it much more easier to channel those energies. So mine is more of a it's actually a directorial effort, because I direct those energies. I help them with directing those energies. Okay, you need to push a bit harder here, you need to push back a little. So my job in that sense becomes a lot more easier, because I don't have to deconstruct the script for them.
Right.
So it's very discussion based. I mean, I do a lot of discussion with them, carry out a lot of conversation with them. Where do you think we could go with this? What do you think? Okay, if you want to try it in a different way, let's try it in a different way.
Okay.
But if you're going down the wrong path, I would just help. So it's more push and nudge rather than just saying, okay, move from point A to point B kind of direction.
Right. So absolutely interesting. We have plenty to talk about this wonderful play coming up. But we'll take a quick break on Good Morning Sri Lanka and be back. Hello there and welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. You're with me, Harith, on this wonderful morning. We were talking with a cast member and the director from God of Carnage, and it's a play to be held on the 8th, 9th, 10th of February at the Russian Cultural Center, and tickets are now available at Barefoot. And I think from this discussion you really should get your hands on this. You can have an inward search into whether you are in fact one of these characters, and also have a good laugh. But also it's not just a laugh that you will get. It's not the usual maybe slapstick laugh that you'll be expecting from this play. Now Hetty, we had a chat about this just before as well. If I may say so, I think Sri Lankan audience love their slapstick comedy. Will they really get dark theatre with a bit of a comic side?
Well, it's like this. Like you said, I mean, the term slapstick exists because such a genre exists. Right? I mean, it has a place. It has a place in theatre. Slapstick definitely has a place in theatre. The physical comedy is as old as what you would see in a Ringling Brothers circus going back. I mean, when people fall in a funny fashion, people laugh. That's natural comedy, that's physical comedy, that's where the origins of slapstick would be from. So whether it's a contortionist effort or whatever, that's where the physical part of it comes through. But the trick is realizing where you can use slapstick and where you can't use slapstick. I mean, if you understand the script properly and you don't try to force fit slapstick, then you're okay. Because some scripts don't demand it. Some scripts are more based on the verbals, more based on the dialogue, right? So you need to be able to relate to the script and understand this is where I can use physical comedy and this is where I can't use physical comedy. So if you can balance those two things out for yourself, I think you do all right. And that's basically a common sense approach to it. I mean, there's no big science behind it or understanding it. As far as Sri Lankan audiences are concerned, I would say yes, because I think what's happening is we are underestimating our audiences also in certain areas. I mean, there is a large intelligence audience out there who are willing to come to a theatre and walk away with, maybe not, they don't come to the theatre to walk away with a message, but they come to the theatre to be entertained, and entertainment need not necessarily be in the what we would call the slapstick comic tradition or whatever. So I think yes, audiences will appreciate it, this kind of thing, but also I believe that you won't be able to pack maybe a 3,000 auditorium with this kind of production. It is more intimate. It requires the people to be more intimate and be involved with the players and be closer to the players to get that whole feel of it. Because the subtleties will be lost if you put this on in a grandiose scale or because you can't. The script does not allow for that kind of grandiose production. Right.
Now, Tehani, I mean, during your school days, you were involved with the Shakespeare's and Shakespeare theatre competition, and I would say that is quite dramatic. The sets and the plays and the dancing and so on and so forth is very important. Now, would you say our audiences like that? Do you miss that, or do you think that it's needed?
Well, I personally think that the like you said, the flamboyant sets and the technical side of it really depends on how you choose to interpret the play that you perform. I think the Shakespeare drama competition has really given us the opportunity to emerge as actresses and actors. And
it's a founding step for a lot of actors.
Exactly. And I mean, I had the wonderful opportunity of working with Tracy and Adam, who I really look up to, and to be honest, they really molded me as an actress, and that was all to do with Shakes. And at the same time, I think that I haven't been in production. I mean, I haven't only been in productions with fancy sets. I have been in Shakespeare productions with fancy sets also, which did work in our favor. But for instance, in 2009 we did a Much Ado About Nothing production, and Adam directed that, and it was so simple. We had human props. We had no props on stage. So we had a huge ensemble cast which shaped themselves as trees and benches and all sorts of things. So it was quite simple in that sense. So it's not always, it doesn't always have to be a really fancy set. Like, you're exposed to different kinds of interpretations.
Right, now before we wrap up this discussion, Hetty, what kind of audience are you expecting, or what kind of audience would want to come for this show? I understand there is a tendency of a maturity in the play as well.
Correct. And before I go there, Tehani, when you turn yourself into a physical prop and into a tree, I mean, isn't that every child's dream when he goes into that first concert and he's that tree in the corner there? Someday I will be a tree again. Sorry. Moving on from that, I think the audience itself will need to be selective in their coming, in the sense it is a play that is more suited for mature audiences, let me put it that way, where we will be probably be able to relate better to a mature audience, and a mature audience will be better equipped to deal with the subject and the content and the language within the play, as opposed to so it's not really your evening out with the kids kind of theatre kind of experience, but it's much more suited for mature audiences because of the content in itself, and obviously because of the whole way that we express ourselves on stage in that way. So I would advise audiences to be selective in thinking of that when they're coming. I mean, just leave the kids at home.
Of course, a fantastic play. I'm sure it will be great, and I certainly will make it there to watch this, because it's important, as you said, a wider audience. I think you must, and as a director, appreciating the fact that there is a wider audience in Sri Lanka is an important fact. So I wish you all the best for your play, and I certainly hope I will see you there. And with that, we'll wrap up this interview with Tushara and Tehani. Thank you very much for coming to Good Morning Sri Lanka.
Thank you.
And we wish you and your cast the best.
Thank you very much for having us here.